today I have to do a COVID-19 positive case. So this is the mask that I'm gonna wear today. So the coroner's office is purchasing 12 new containers, and these containers that we are purchasing are refrigerated. And what we're gonna do with these containers is help hospitals store extra cases when they have an overload, and also helping us when we're having an overload, because our crypt is now becoming full, and these cases now are coming in a lot, and we need space. They're all in this van. I would open it, but it really was hard to get it closed. There's a 440-pound body inside of here, and that mess. Hi, I used to work for the coroner's office for 16 years, so I'm just on here telling you guys stories of my experiences there. So it was this one time where I guess this lady died of medical interventions, and she was like an older woman, but she had already had like her funeral and everything. They had already buried her, but the family was like, no, we want to exhume her and we want to get her an autopsy, and they wanted a private autopsy. And so that's what they did, and it had been a year since she had been buried. So I'm just like, oh my God. So we go to the cemetery. I didn't go, but they go to the cemetery, exhume her body from where she was buried at. And, you know, this is a year later. So I'm just like wondering, like, what is she going to look like after she done been in this casket for a year? We opened that casket up, and because of the formaldehyde, which preserves the body, she still looked the same way she looked when she went into the ground. Like, formaldehyde is a real thing for preserving bodies. Like, it literally was like, first of all, it was like no bugs. It was super sealed. It was like no bugs inside the casket. Like, it was crazy. Formaldehyde ain't no joke, y'all. Also, trying to do an autopsy on a body that has already been embalmed is super hard, because the tissue is super hard and it's not as flexible as fresh tissue. So it's just a really hard autopsy to do, and it stinks so bad. The smell is so strong. Not so much as stink, but the smell is just so strong that your eyes are watering while you're trying to do this autopsy with your respirator on. It's just crazy. I hated doing autopsies on embalmed bodies. No, I don't know what the outcome was as far as what did they find out from doing her autopsy, but I am gonna post a picture of how much private autopsies costed at that time that I was working there. Super high. Hi, I used to work for the coroner's office for 16 years, and I'm just on here telling you guys stories of my experiences there. So there were certain calls that we would get, and they would be labeled, some labeled as public view. And, you know, others didn't have labels like that on them, because the public view calls were actually calls that were like in the middle of the street where everybody's driving by and walking by, or at a mall where people are there, just where it's just a lot of people and you can't really stop them from looking or be discreet, you know. So those type of calls, for some reason, I would always feel a little bit more excited to go to those kind of calls, and not glorifying death. You know, I don't want anybody to die, but because this was my job and, you know, how I worked, like, so people dying didn't make me sad. It was like all the aspects that surrounded doing the job that would affect me. So like public view calls, like that would affect me, because I would have to be a certain way in front of people to make them feel that I am not being insensitive to who I am picking up, which was the deceased on the ground or wherever they were. And so those are the things that I feel like. Also, like, just people being around, like, say for instance, family is there. So when family would be at calls, that would affect me in certain ways, because seeing their reaction to their loved one being killed or that got killed or whatever had happened to them would affect me. So I know a lot of you guys ask me, like, how does the job affect you, or do it ever make you emotional? Well, not the deceased person doesn't make me emotional. It's actually the things around the deceased person, the environment around the deceased person that affects my emotion, if you can understand what I'm saying. Hi, I used to work for the coroner's office, and I'm just on here telling you guys stories of my experiences there. So I'm just driving down the street looking at all these trees, and I saw this man cutting, climbed up in a tree and cutting it down, and it reminded me of this call I had to go to where this man was doing maintenance on his trees in the backyard, and he was using a chainsaw, and he slipped from the ladder that he was on with the chainsaw on, fell to the ground, and the chainsaw almost decapitated him. It cut him at his neck, but his neck was still, his head and everything was still attached. It just like, the chainsaw just like chopped though the neck area kind of through almost to the arm, but he was still intact. And it was just crazy. Like, y'all got to be careful out here doing this work on y'all house yourself. If y'all not professionals, you gonna end up killing yourself. Y'all better be careful. I used to work for the coroner's office, and I'm just on here telling you guys stories of my experiences there. So I'm gonna tell you guys this story about this time where I was doing a case. And when I was doing the case, mind you, we wear PPE, full body. We got the bonnet on, we got the face shield on, we got the face mask on to cover up your mouth and nose. We got everything on. You can even wear like these goggles that we have. We got everything that we need, gloves, gowns, everything, right? So I'm doing this case, and this body is a lot of fatty tissue on this case. And fatty tissue is like the consistency of like eggs, and it's the same color. It's eggs. It's like yellowy, and it looks like a bunch of just like bubbles, like boba almost, just like a lot of them just clumped together. And when you're kind of, blunt dissection, like grabbing tissues and stuff is flinging, that stuff tends to fly everywhere. Blood, juices, everything, it tends to fly. That's why you got on your PPE, so that you're not getting that stuff on you. So this one time though, I was doing what I was supposed to do, getting the parts, pulling the tissue. Why I fling back some tissue, and some of the fat flew off, and I felt it hit my face somewhere by my eye. So I just closed my eyes immediately. And mind you, I got the face shield on, but I'm wearing eyelashes too. And I'm wearing, the kind you can pull off, not, the kind you go to lay down and get put on for a long time. I have on like strip eyelashes while I'm doing the case, but I have my shield on. I felt that mess hit my eye. I immediately became paralyzed. Like, I was like, I can't move. And mind you, I got my team is in there with me. So one of them just grabs my hand, walks me out to the sink, and I'm not opening my eyes because I can still feel the wetness on my eye. She looks at me and says, "There's a piece of fat on your eyelash." I said, "Take it off. Take both of them off." She took it off. And I just started washing my face like vigorously. That was like so freaking gross. So now the joke is my PPE, a part of it is my eyelashes too, because how that went under the mask and got on my eyelash was beyond me. I do not know, but that will never happen to me again, ever. Hi, I used to work for the coroner's office for 16 years, so I'm just on here telling you guys stories of my experiences there. So somebody was curious about mass fatalities. Have I ever picked up or dealt with mass fatalities or mass murders? I have had experience with mass fatalities. There's two of them that I can think of right offhand. One of them was the Chatworth's train wreck that killed, I believe, like about 26 people, 26 or 29 people. And what happens is the coroner has teams of people that go out and are specialized in picking up bodies like that are like a mass death. So they train them to recover at that scene. So the coroner has like a mobile home that they set up. They basically set up camp at the scene so that when dealing with mass fatalities, like say if there's bodies in multiple pieces, they're able to process everything like right there on the scene, and it won't get mixed up with transferring them to the office or whatnot. So when they get those bodies, they'll put all the pieces together of that body there. Like they won't remove the body from the scene until everything that belongs to that particular body is with that body. So there's like, you're there trying to figure things out. Like say if somebody is in pieces, like you're putting it together, like you're like if it's feet, so you're looking at the toenails and seeing if the toenails are the same, or if it's just the bottom half and it has on pants but then a piece of the shirt is like stuck to the pants or something. You're literally like trying to figure things out like right there on the scene, and then it's brought back to the office to like say for instance I'm at the office, I'm receiving this case and now having to process the case that they're bringing back, because they're bringing back multiple bodies. And so now we're now having to fingerprint weigh them, get their height, get the information like their clothing and stuff off, like description from the body. We have to live scan them and it goes into the system and they get identified that way, and then we put them in their crypt, and then from their crypt they go get their autopsy. Now when it gets busy like that, autopsies, usually people are able to leave within 2 to 3 days, but sometimes it can take longer depending on the circumstances. Now in that circumstance, that was a lot of bodies to have to process, and it's only so many people that do these jobs, so it may take a little bit of time to process those cases. Another one was people had gotten killed in a helicopter. Multiple people had gotten killed in a helicopter. All of those, everybody that was in the helicopter that had got killed were in pieces. Nobody came to the office whole. Okay, so on that scene, it was pieces everywhere. So limbs, torsos, heads, just everywhere. So you're at the scene trying to figure out what goes with what body. So that took a while. And then receiving those bodies at the office, we have to photo them. We have to weigh them as they come. We have to try to get fingerprints if we can, if there is a hand, if there is finger skin. We have to do all of this stuff. So there's a lot of moving parts at the coroner's office of people that are responsible for making sure that body doesn't get mixed up with other body parts. So the parts are just, they stay together and contained in its own bag that they're in. So yeah, those are the couple that I can remember. There has been more, but those are the biggest ones that I've done that I can remember, where there was multiple deaths, multiple fatalities at once. So yeah, that was my experience. Hi, I used to work for the coroner's office for 16 years, and I'm just on here telling you guys stories of my experiences there. So it was this one call I had to go to where there was a body that was found. It was a homeless camp, and it was a body that was found in some like high, tall grass where the body was visible, but it kind of wasn't. So to me, where the location of the body was, the people that were living in that homeless camp saw this person dead there and allowed this person to be dead there for a long period of time, to where the body was severely decomposed. So when a decomposed, like a severely decomposed body has to be picked up and it's suspected foul play, the hands have to be kind of preserved. And how they do that is they put paper bags over the hands and then put a rubber band around the wrist so that the paper bag can stay on the hand. Now, this is what I remember being done when I was there. They could do it a different way now, but when I was there, that's what was done. Now, the photos that need to be taken, because this person is a John or a Jane Doe, because they don't look like, if they were to be identified, they don't look like their ID pictures, so they're considered a Jane Doe until we get like dental records back or something back that can positively identify this person, because we can't do fingerprints because the fingers are either waterlogged or dehydrated. Now, what waterlogged means is they're so damaged by, like, say for instance, you're in the tub for a long time and your fingers get kind of wrinkly. Well, that's what waterlogged is. The fingers get so wrinkly to where it's not puffy anymore, so we can't get the fingerprint, which are the ridges that are on the finger. And then the dehydrated fingers is where the fingers becomes really, really hard to where you can't, it's no moisture in the hand anymore. So there's a way that we are able to hydrate the finger back by a lot of chemical processes that are used to hydrate that finger to get a print from that finger. So that's what they do. They literally chop the fingers off, the decedent, or a couple of fingers off, go put them in the chemical that they need to, or inject them with the chemical that they need to get that print off that one or two fingers that they took off the body. And like I said, the dental records, they'll take like the jaw out, the mouth out, the head, and send that to certain forensic people that are able to tell the person, tell who this person is, tell the identity of the person through dental records. I noticed the body was severely decomposed and the location of the body, but to me, the person that was dead looked really young. Even though they were decomposed, I can tell by like what they were wearing and, kind of like a little bit of the features, enough through the decomposition to where I can tell they were a young female. And they had on like Daisy Duke shorts and like a tank top. Now, the criminalists had to come out because a sex kit had to be performed and, all kinds of stuff had to be done before I removed the body from the scene. Now, when a body is that severely decomposed, once I get them back to the office, the only thing I can really do with that person is weigh them, describe what they have on, get their height, and basically put them in the crypt until, photos are to be done on them and an autopsy is to be done. Well, today, years later, like almost 10 years later, I'm being subpoenaed to go to court on this case that I thought was just like an overdose in a homeless camp. The reason why I'm being subpoenaed is because this person was actually murdered and dumped at that scene. And the reason why I'm being subpoenaed is because I just picked up the body. Like that's all I did. I picked up the body, took the body to the coroner's office, and processed the body. So I'm being subpoenaed and being asked questions by the defendant. I think I'm being subpoenaed by the defendant, but being asked questions like the boots you wore, were they issued by the county? The shirts you had on, were these government issued clothes? And just like really irrelevant questions to me, to the case. And the reason why I'm irritated is because I have to drive damn near 2 hours to go to court for this, and I don't feel like I have to be there. Like the information that I'm going to give is super irrelevant and it's super annoying that I have to go. But if I don't go, I'm going to be in contempt of court or whatever, or be fined. Also with this time I'm going, the difference now is there's a jury there. So am I going to have to sit there and listen to like all these witnesses go up and like They told me to be here at 8:30, but yet they still have not called me in there. Like this is the outfit for court that I don't want to be at. So I'm just getting dressed because at least that's something good that I can do for myself to make me feel good. Because being here is not it. Hi, I used to work for the coroner's office for 16 years, so I'm just on here telling you guys stories of my experiences there. So it was this one call I went to where there were multiple deaths of children, and it involved fire. So one of the kids had got hold to matches and started playing with them, or a lighter. I think it was a lighter, and started playing with the lighter and ended up setting the floor where he was playing with the lighter on fire. Now, when he set it on fire, he tried to put it out with a broom, but it wouldn't go out. He was just spreading the fire bigger. And he ended up going into a room that was nearby and going under the bed trying to hide from the fire. In that room that he was in, you can tell that the fire started. It didn't start in there, but that's where it started first. It started in the hallway, and then it just followed him because he was spreading the fire with the broom. And he went under the bed and tried to hide from the fire, but he couldn't. And he was probably about between the ages of 7 and 9. His body was basically burned to almost nothing. It was just burnt black. And he was just barely there. The fire was about to take all of him. It was just a little bit of him there. He wasn't recognizable anymore. There were 2 other children in another room where you can tell they were trying to hide from the fire under the covers. And the reason, that way you can tell, is because their hands were up by their faces, like they were holding the cover over them and thinking that the cover was going to protect them from the fire, but it wasn't. It consumed them as well. Part of their whole side of their body was charred black, and the other side was almost about to be consumed, but there still was a little bit of their natural skin and their flesh still there. And on one side of them, their hair was still there too, and they had really thick hair, and it was still in ponytails on the side. There was another little girl that actually made it to the hospital. She was the oldest, and she ended up dying at the hospital. I had to pick her up too. She ended up dying at the hospital due to smoke inhalation. They tried to save her too. She already had some 3rd-degree burns on her though. The fire did get to her a little bit. But what had happened was well, you know what happened. The little boy was playing with a lighter, but they were being watched by somebody that was of age in the house. They were old enough to watch them, and that person was in the garage washing the clothes, so they didn't know what the kids were doing. They didn't know what was going on. Now, when I took the children out of the house to put them in my van, the parents had made it there because the parents weren't home. But the parents had made it home. They couldn't go in their home, and they wanted to see their kids, but their children were unrecognizable, and the coroner cannot let the people be viewed, or the children be viewed how they were, because it would have just traumatized them even more. Now, the coroner does let families view their loved one when they are recognizable, not when they're in a state where they won't even look like what you're used to seeing them look like. How it looks though when somebody is charred, if you've never seen it before, so the skin burns away and it's black, and the insides, your organs start popping out because the skin is getting so tight from burning, and all of the exterior tissue is getting so tight from the fire burning it. Everything on the inside of you starts pushing out. So if the fire, say for instance, the fire is put out before the body is completely consumed, you'll see that red, you'll see blackened, dark burnt flesh, and then you'll see the red organs popping out. It just looked like I can't even, I hope I'm describing it good because it's hard to explain, but it would have been very traumatizing for the family to see the children in the state that they were. Hi, I used to work for the coroner's office for 16 years, so I'm just on here telling you guys stories of my experiences there. So somebody asked, what was the hardest removal I ever did or had to pick up? One that comes to mind is somebody died underneath an apartment complex in the crawl space underneath, and I had to go under there and get the body. Now, I don't know who found the body there, but he wasn't decomposed yet, so that was good. But underneath those houses or apartments, those crawl spaces have all the bugs in the world, and I am scared of bugs. So I would have to say that that was the hardest thing for me to do, to go underneath that apartment complex in that crawl space and pull that body out and do it by myself and try to be brave and not be scared of the bugs. And I was scared of everything that I was seeing. I'm scared of spider webs. I don't like for spider webs to touch me. I was able to do this job as long as I was because I just made sure no bugs got on me. And if they did, I was going crazy. But I was real covered up. Like, I did not play when it came to the bugs. Like, I've seen all the kinds of bugs too. There was this one time I went to a call where the person fell off a cliff in the mountains, and the body was found, and the body was helicoptered up to where I could drive to get the body. And they had what they called fire ants on them. Now, the difference between these ants and red ants, I don't know what the difference was because they look the same, but they were super aggressive. Like, they sting instantly. The investigator that was like touching all on the body and moving the clothes and trying to look was getting bit up. Like, she had bites all over her arms and hands from these ants. And then it was like these flies landing on the body that are landing on me, that wouldn't move when I would shoo them away. So I just don't like bugs. So any scene where bugs are getting on me, that's a problem. Hi, I used to work at the coroner's office for 16 years, and I'm just on here telling you guys stories of my experiences there. So it was this one time where I got to go on a ship. And when I went on this ship, it was my first time on one. And, you know, I had never been on a cruise before, so I didn't know what they looked like. So I went on the ship because somebody had died. And what was so sad was that these people were going out on a 7-day cruise. This man was working out in a gym, passed out, and they have a hospital on the ship, and they have a morgue. Now, I did not know the ships had morgue, but I mean, it was a good idea to have one because things like this can happen, unfortunately. So anyways, this man was at the gym, he was working out, he had a heart attack, and they tried to save him. He was taken to the hospital. They did everything they could, and he ended up dying on the first day that they sailed out onto the water. His family had to spend the rest of that cruise without him, knowing that he was still on the ship in that morgue, and they had to wait until they got back to the land where I came, and had to still come onto the ship and take his body to the coroner's office, and he still have to go through all the autopsy before he can be released to the mortuary, before you can get your loved one and lay him to rest. That was crazy to me. A lot of stuff this family had to go through to endure, thinking that they were about to go on a trip and have fun and you know, be living their best life, and it ended up turning out like this. Like, that is insane. Hey guys, I used to work for the coroner's office for 16 years, and I'm just on here telling you guys stories of my experiences there. So just recently I was on vacation, and somebody wanted to hear like all my stories, and I told them this one story where it wasn't a case that I picked up, but I was rushing to the train one day after work, and when I got on Metrolinx, I always wanted to sit in the back train. I never wanted to sit in the front because that's the train that's gonna hit somebody if somebody wanted to commit suicide. So I never wanted to sit in the front because that was a fear that I had. And so this day that I went to get on the train, I was running late. So I just ran and jumped in one of the cars, and I didn't realize I was in the front car when I jumped in it. So as we were riding, I'm just looking out the window, not even thinking anything. And, you know, on my way home, and I see a lady sitting on the side of the track. And you know how when there's like businesses like on the side of the track, but it's the back wall of the business, like she was just like squatted there sitting on the ground near the track. And the next thing you know, like seconds after I saw her sitting there, just random woman, I just thought she was just sitting there, I saw a body flying by the window. Somebody committed suicide. So our train stopped. We were delayed going to our destinations, and
we all had to be like, the train had to back up and we all had to get off the train and get onto buses to take us to our destination. So anyways, fast forward to the next day, I rushed to the investigator's office to find out who was the one that took care of that case. Because like when I was in the train, I was calling the office, telling them that, you know, I was on the Metro Link and the train just hit somebody and I'm on the train and I saw the body fly by and I'm just like, you know, just excited, not excitement with like, oh, I'm happy somebody died, but just like because this had just happened right in front of me. So I found the investigator that was taking care of that case and asked if I could see because the train, what we do, we look at the video footage that the trains have on them to see like what exactly happened, what the person actually did. And so what had happened was this person did commit suicide. They actually stepped out in front of the train, and trains can't just stop like cars on their brakes. Like when train stops, it takes them a long time before the train actually stops moving. So what I was looking for when I saw the video, and I even asked the investigator, I told the investigator I was sitting on the train and I saw this body fly by, but before I saw the body fly by, I saw a woman sitting on the side of the track, like watching this person commit this act of suicide. And when I looked at the video, nobody was there. So I was telling this person this story, and she was telling me that because I probably encountered so many deaths, I probably do see ghosts, but I don't realize that they're ghosts. But I see them, and they just look like regular people to me. So this is just to let you guys know that I probably have seen a lot of ghosts or a lot of spirits, but I don't know that that's what they are because they don't interact with me. I just see them. And this was actual proof that I saw somebody, I saw them with my eyes sitting there watching this person commit this act, but they were not on the video. And that was some paranormal activity that I have had, that I can say that I've actually had, because other than that, other than me telling this story to this lady that I was talking to, I wouldn't have never realized that that's what I saw. So that was really, like, that gave me the chills, like hearing that. Like, I probably see ghosts all the time, but I don't even realize that that's what I'm seeing. Crazy, huh?
I used to work for a Coroner, and there I used to pick up people that got killed multiple different ways, died all kinds of ways. Like, I've seen everything. I was there for 16 years, and I did autopsies as well. So I've been on that side of life, and I've also am now on the side where I am helping save lives through donation. So now what I do is I recover tissue from people who donate their organs and tissue so other people can live a better life. So I just feel blessed that I am able to see different perspectives of life. Working at the coroner's office did make me look at life differently than a lot of people do. I love life, and yeah, so working at the coroner's office, I was always asked, like, what was the worst thing you've ever saw? And I would always tell this story. So the story is, there was someone that worked for a city, and working for that city, what they used to do was cut the trees in the city when they got too long. And so there were multiple people that did the job. So one person would cut the branches and one person would stand down and feed the trees into the tree shredder. So the person that I picked up was the person that feeded the trees into the tree shredder. So what had happened was they were picking up the branches, and the branch actually caught hold of the sleeve and pulled this person into the tree shredder. They couldn't break free from the branch, so it pulled them into the tree shredder head first. So this person went into the tree shredder head first and came out on the other side looking like carne asada, literally. Like, he was in pieces. And the only thing that wasn't shredded was his feet, because the shoes he had on were combat boots and they wouldn't go through the machine. So we had to bring the machine back to the office and open up the machine so that we can get all of the body parts out of the machine. And yeah, the only way he was able to be identified was through fingerprints. And we were finding print skin, like skin from the fingers, and we were able to use that to identify this person. So yeah, it was crazy. Nothing has never traumatized me working for the coroner's office. It was always just my job. I never let it affect me in a way where I would go home, have nightmares. I literally just would go home and not really even think about work. It's just like work. Hi, I used to work for the coroner's office for 16 years, and I'm just on here telling you guys stories of my experiences there. So there's things that you guys think are weird that I think are normal. Like, for instance, how many of you like the smell of barbecue? Okay. Well, flesh, when it's burning, smells just like barbecue. Now, I like the way that smells. You guys probably think that's weird, but it smells just like some meat on a grill when you cooking at a barbecue. That's literally how human flesh smells when it burns. I also like the smell of when you're doing an autopsy, you have to use a saw to cut through bone. So we have to cut through the skull with a saw. And the smell that gives off, like, it's like burning bone, or I don't know what it is, but it's like the smell of bone. Like, you know it's bone because every time you saw into the bone, you get that smell. So I know it's the sound of the bone being sawed into. It's just like this, I don't know, it makes my mouth water, and it's weird because I don't want to eat nobody. I just know I like that smell. It's like when people go to the gas station and they like the way gas smells, because I like that too. Or I also like when you blow out a match, how that smells. Like, it's just the smells is weird, but the stink smells, like decomposition and intestines all smell the same. Like when they're exposed at a scene, like if somebody is busted open or chopped up or whatever it is, the intestine smell is very distinctive, and it's the same smell no matter like what body it is. Like, they all stink real bad. It stinks. Like, I don't even know how to describe that smell. Decomposition, it all smells the same. Like, the body rotten, it's stank, like so bad. If you smelled a dog like decomposing, you know the difference between like an animal and a human. I don't know why. It's just this distinct stank smell, rotten. I don't even know how to describe that either. Like, it's just like, have you ever smelled like a rotten food in a trash can with like boo-boo in it, and like it's just horrible. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And if you guys have some weird things that you like the way it smells, put it in the comments below.